Hey, everybody. Thanks for being here tonight. We're so excited. We have got a real couple of real amazing women that are joining us here in upstate and Charlotte. And this is being recorded. You may be watching it on a recording, but we're super excited because we have Melissa DeSalva, I hope I'm saying her name right, and Deborah Geller from Alouette of Oakville. And the reason that I asked these ladies, and I really didn't, I mean, Deb really is gracing us out of just the kindness of her heart. But I reached out to Melissa because I had read a post that Deb did the other day about how Melissa really was the catalyst for their franchise to become a virtual party franchise. And she was the catalyst for them to literally have a year of $1 million increase, a $4 million year, and a complete flip from being a direct selling live party franchise to a virtual party franchise. And so I was so struck by that post and so impressed. And I know that several of you have reached out to me and said, I am interested in doing virtual parties, but ... Okay. So there's a block, and it's several blocks in our franchise in Charlotte that are holding us back. And I'm hoping that tonight we're going to discover what that is and hopefully be able to break through and really be enlightened as to not only what might be holding us back, but also, facing some of our fears that are coming up, obviously, when we think about being a virtual party team. So Melissa is up here. I don't know if you've got your, I don't know who determines whether it's on speaker view or gallery view. Do I do that, Deb? Okay, hold on. I'm going to change it. So I'm going to change it to speaker view, and I hope you guys are seeing me. I'm not sure. I see Donna Cothran for some reason. What do y'all see?
Yeah. So
we can set it on. We can set it on our end.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so I've got it set on speaker view, and I'm going to just let Melissa tell us a little bit about when the pandemic first started and you decided to pivot and do your business completely different. What did that look like, and what did that feel like to you?
Okay, so in the beginning, when it first started, so it was March of 2020, last year, it was around the 15th, right, where we literally felt that all of our business they just plunged to the floor, right? So for me, I think what really kept me going and making the decision where, I was going to do a quick pivot was really, I think about it, especially today when I was preparing for you girls, is I really always focus on my why, right? So when everything happened, everything around us was happening, but my why and my goals were still the same. Okay, so I still wanted to wake up each day, concentrate on why I was doing this, right? And then I looked at my calendar and I basically, called my hostesses right away and I told them that we were going to do it virtually. I didn't say, oh, like, what do you want to do? I wasn't wishy-washy like that. I really just jumped in the pool of fear where I had at the time a year ago, the exact same fear. Like, I had no idea what I was doing, but I knew the one thing I knew for sure was that I knew my show. And I knew that I was going to do that show, that I was going to still continue to plant those seeds. So at the time, because we did pivot together, I had set up my table and I had put my laptop there, and I basically did the show. And I did it the way I knew it. But the only difference was I knew that I was going to be virtual, and that I knew that when my hostesses at the time seen that I did that decision, they had that trust in me. And they thought, okay, well, she clearly knows what she's doing. So we're looking for a positive distraction anyways, just like women are now. And it happened, right? So that was the platform at the time of Facebook Live. So I did that, and the way I got my bookings was I always planted the seeds, just like when you do your show, you have those seeds, you have consultation seeds, you have your recruiting seeds, and stuff like that. So by the end of the presentation, number one, in the show planning, I was putting it into the event like we normally would, that they are to expect that service from me. So that when I planted those seeds throughout the show, they knew that I was contacting them, and it was more of a natural thing. You know what I mean? That, at the end of my show, basically, if you didn't get a consultation, you probably would feel disserviced. You know what I mean? So I really just did the follow-up where I worked with my hostess, which I still do. And then I would get her to kind of incentivize her to get those bookings either before the show or right after the show. I would make it a habit in the beginning when I first did virtual shows to get in contact with her directly through Messenger. So that's the way I did it at the time. And what else did I put here? So since then, unless you have a question before I show you what my stats were from doing the virtual shows when I decided to make, that decision with the pivot. Did you have any questions for me, Sandy?
Yes, I do. Okay, so this happened. You basically said you reached out to what hostesses you did have.
Yes.
And you took charge, but you didn't know what you were really going to do. So did you just fake it till you make it, or did you just jump on there and just go, oh, okay, I'm just gonna wing this, or how'd you do it?
Honestly, when I looked at my calendar and I had heard the cancellations and stuff like that, at that point, I didn't want whatever was happening on the outside to affect what I had on the inside and what I had for my why and my goals. So I decided at that point, I'm going to do this. I'm just going to go virtually because I know that there was other companies doing virtual. We weren't at the time, but I knew that people were doing it. So I just kind of got inspired by other like direct sale businesses that were doing it. And I knew that at the time, Facebook was a natural platform to do it. So I just decided to just put my foot in the puddle. I really didn't know what was going to happen, but I got the results. I got qualifying shows, and I got the bookings to move forward. So, I would probably range around 2 to 3 bookings, I think, in the beginning when I first started per show. So when I had told Deb, that opened up the whole thing with the virtual, and then we just kind of took it from there, and then we kind of evolved it together and pivoted together. So if you're we all know that, when you first went into people's homes and you did those shows, your show. And the one thing that holds you back is the uncertainty of maybe this won't work for me. You know what I mean? So that's where the mindset comes in, where it's like, it really is 95% mindset, 5% strategy. You know the strategy because you know that there's a system, right? And you know that you have your show, and that has been something that's been duplicatable with Alouette for so many years. So the one thing that I suggest is, if you're scared, just challenge yourself and step into the fear, and know that, there's women that have done it, they have the results, and trust in that and go from there together. You know what I mean?
So Melissa, you have ladies on here tonight that were not in Alouette before. They literally have joined the company during this pandemic. And we have some that have never done live parties.
Okay.
They have never been in the home, and done a party. I mean, I have and you have, but a lot of them have not. And then also we have people on here that, the script that they have is the virtual party script, which has evolved out of people like you and Kim and Lynn Albright and Sheila and all these people that have done virtual parties. So I know it's putting you on the spot, but do you have any advice for someone that they joined during the pandemic?
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I'm not sure how it works with other franchises or something like that, but normally what we do is like we have that step-by-step system that we use in the beginning, right? So you really just, and I know it sounds repetitive, but you really need to focus on what you want, because I find that when you have a goal, your mind just goes to what you need to do in order to achieve it. You know what I mean? So, it's just like when you start any new job, you have a goal in mind of how much maybe you want to make, what you're going to use the money for. And I just think that knowing that you're starting something that's already has been planned out at some point, you know what I mean? You just got to jump in and you just got to make sure that you're learning and memorizing the fundamentals in the beginning, which is your show. And then it's just a matter of, putting the fear behind you and just opening your computer and doing the show, even if you get started.
So the new trip just started 3 days ago. And I know that one of the things that happened this year was you won your trip for 2. And this is actually the first time you've ever won it for 2, right?
Yes.
So you actually had your best year doing the business this way.
Yes, I'm so happy that, I decided to do this pivot in the beginning because aside from the success that I have had in virtual shows, I want to let you know that I've had a lot of obstacles in between, right? So like some of the mothers with homeschooling and stuff like that, but actually back in August, my mother was diagnosed with stage 3 lung cancer. So I had the obstacles of, at the time, she wasn't doing well. We thought we were going to lose her. So just maintaining my personal business again through that obstacle and pivot. Again, it was my why, my goals, what I wanted to do. And that's always, for me now, it's a main focus because I was never a person, especially in the beginning of my business, that really focused on setting goals, And because, at the beginning, you're not really seeing the results. So you just got to really trust in what do you want and what am I going to do to get there? I'm okay. So I'll just give you some of the stats of my results. So last year, I had 15 new recruits start with me in the business. So actively doing shows. And I think out of those 15, maybe 2 of them weren't earning their kits at the time for us. So I was able to win my trip for 2. So originally I was going for that. So positive affirmations and mindset is the 95%, right? The rest was all strategy. I was able to triple my income, which was amazing. Just because now for me, I love that I get to choose. So I like to work sometimes, sounds crazy, but I like to work 2 to 3 shows some nights and then again have the rest of that week and that option to be flexible for my family. And again, that's going to care for my mother at night and my husband sometimes works really late, right? So I do that. And the way I get the bookings, normally again, it's the consultation seeds that I put, but I really do act as if. I act as if, people are crazy not to book with you and everything that you have to offer them. Your positive mindset, you're authentic, right? You are your own brand when it comes to us. And, even if I'm not booked, I tell them, listen, I'm booked. This is what I have. This is the date I have it. And then I sell them on, you really need this and your friends are going to thank you, right? So when they see that confidence coming from you, automatically they're going to take you as the leader. And then they're going to want to follow that light because you're the one that's really paving the way because it's such an uncertain time for everyone again right now. But when they see a shining light, normally people like to gravitate towards that. But I always focused on the beginning, even though I was scared, I never showed that part of me, because I know that, again, my goals were still the same and that I was willing to do whatever it took to get to where I needed to be.
I think one of the things that's fascinating to me as I'm listening to you is that something that really nobody expected, couldn't have seen it coming, whatever, that it became almost an empowerment for you as you faced things this year that you didn't know you were going to face. You know, being able, like you said, to do 2 or 3 parties from home in one day, still being able to homeschool your children, still being able to do what you need to do for your mom, for your husband, whatever. It's almost like going virtual, to me, opens up all these opportunities. The girl that I just signed up yesterday was telling me that she has twins. They're Ashlyn does twins. She does have them in bed at 7:30, which I was pretty impressed with. But she was saying that she felt like she was more excited about virtual and joining the company because she could do that after they're in bed and she's still home.
Yep.
So do you feel like that?
Absolutely. For me, with my kids, so my husband, I share my schedule with him about a week ahead. Sometimes I like to book really fast. So when I was sharing my goal with my husband about getting the cash for 2, because we actually used that money to save for Disney, I told my husband, hey, this is the numbers, this is what I'm doing. And I booked literally, I think it was from the Monday to the Wednesday, because I knew that I was going to hit it, but I wanted to make sure I did. So I really just share the schedule with my husband as much as I can. And when I'm downstairs, for me, I do it in the basement. That's my time. And I know that I'm dedicating that hour or 45 minutes or whatever that I need, and that we have that kind of mutual thing. But if I'm alone with the kids, then yeah, I'll plan and then I'll do my show sometimes a bit later. I'm very blessed for the support I have from him, but everyone is so different, right? And what their situations are.
Well, what I'd like to do, and I have a few questions here, but I would like to give the girls the opportunity to ask things in the chat, and Lynn's going to try to help me monitor that tonight. But I'd like to give them an opportunity to ask some questions in the chat, because maybe they might have concerns and fears with specifics. So for instance, I know that whenever you started, you said initially you used Facebook Live to do your parties initially. Would you still say that that's your main platform, or would you say that you've transitioned over to some of the other ones? Or
yeah, so originally I did the Facebook Live, right? But then people, like when Kim came in with the Zoom, I thought that was fantastic, because then those people, you're not only selling them on obviously having the show, but having the experience of them interacting with their friends, right? So the thing is that for me personally, if I'm working, the 2-3 shows a night, what I'll do is I'll sell my first 2 shows as Facebook Lives, because I can control my time, right? And then I'll typically always mindset wise book my last show of the night as a Zoom. Because the thing is with Zoom is I absolutely love it, because no matter what, I live stream directly into the event of the group. So I'm getting the best of both worlds viewing, which was, again, a pivot for us. And I was so glad that it was opened up to. But I love the Zoom because I get the consultations done then and there. And it's a little bit more quicker. I know what I made that night, as opposed to the Facebook Live. It's great that I can do multiple shows, but you do need to realize there's a little bit of follow-up as well. And there's a direct follow-up that we do. It's a system that we do every single time, and it's repetition in the way we ask questions, and, never close-ended questions and stuff like that. So,
right.
Yeah.
All the things that we know have always worked about sales still work, even though it's virtual. So when you're doing the Facebook Live, or one of the things that somebody asked me today is, do you set up a group or do you use events?
So personally, I used to use events and I think they're fantastic, but I've pivoted to groups only because of the time that I have with the kids during the day. I like to pre-schedule my posts. So I like to make sure that that's already done and that's one less thing for me to worry about. So I do like that option as opposed to events where I need to make sure that I'm kind of scheduling it every day. So the groups are very nice for pre-scheduling.
When you're using the Facebook Live in the groups, is that, oh, hold on, lost my train of thought, sorry.
Like when we're live streaming?
Okay, so when you're doing Facebook Live and you're using, and it's in a group, you're posting in this. Do you actually have a specific time that you're going to go live in that group, or you're just posting for 7 days and you're going live off and on in there and like,
No. So for me, first of all, when I show plan my hostess, I really sell her on this is simple. So start to finish, my parties are about 6 days. Okay. And I typically keep my parties open no longer than 48 hours. Okay. So it's a quick thing. It's a quick close. For the posts, it's the exact same sequence of posts that I do every single party. From what I say, the only thing is now is I'm tagging we're tagging like when we go live or right before a half hour, we're tagging all the guests that we can just so it sends them a notification. But the sequence of the show planning is the same pretty much every single time. But the groups are nice because you can pre-schedule everything.
right.
It's less busy for you that way. Pre-schedule everything when you first start it and invite her in, right? And then you can make her admin if you want, so that she has a bit more control with inviting and all that.
But if Melissa has booked a show, like if she says I booked 2 shows tomorrow night, it'll be one show is at 7 o'clock and one show is at 8 o'clock. Just like she would have said I booked a show for 7 o'clock on Wednesday if she was driving to the show. It's a very set time because you want people coming on.
Yes.
Right.
So when you for example, when you create the group, I'll say, Sheila's Alouette virtual show, and I'll put in brackets January 10th at 8 p.m. People know when they go into that group. And then what I'll say too, because some people I find recently, they're like, well, how does this work again? So I'll put a post, I will see you here at 8 p.m. You refresh your screen, but I'll also post the Zoom link as well. And if that's the case, right? If they're going into the room after with me or for a consultation.
So let me make sure I understand what you just said. So when you create the group name, you literally put Mary's Alouette Party, January 10th at 8 p.m. So it's very
so when they get into that group, they have it.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. I noticed shows in the past that I personally was invited to. I would think, what time is it supposed to be at? You're kind of fishing for the information. So,
Yes.
It's just easier to put it inside where the group name is for sure.
And I do think people can get very confused and they half read and all of that. So one of the questions that had come up to me today too was attendance. So is there anything specifically that you feel like you've learned over this year of doing this, that, because we do have a really nice gift in our franchises, both of Upstate and Charlotte, that the hostess receives for 8 buying guests.
Mm-hmm.
But getting 8 on there or there is not, it seems to sometimes be a problem. So is there anything in particular that you feel like, oh, wow, this really makes me a better attendance?
For sure. So normally when you are doing a show, you're creating desire for certain products, right? And from those shows, in the case that somebody is booking from a show, they kind of develop, for example, the Be Smooth, right? They're developing, like in my show, when you see it, like you want the Be Smooth. So I will tell them, you're going to get the Be Smooth at this price. So I'm like, that's how I incentivize the hostess, is I kind of team up with her. I ask her questions. What is it that you like? And if I can get it for her, normally 9 times out of 10, I kind of plant the seed with her, like, you know, depending on how much I want 10 people there, I might even offer it for free, right? But I create the desire in when I show plan her to, and then I'll tell people too, encouraging them to bring a friend with them. And if they do, and they view online and they're outside of the show, I'll give them another gift. So I'm doing the incentives throughout the party, but I'm also working with her to make sure she's doing her part on her end. We're getting that mutual trust together, because I know she wants to know, you know, in the back of her mind, well, what's in it for me? We know this, right? So I want to make sure that I'm really getting to know her and partnering with her. And again, incentivizing her guests to get the attendance there too. That's what I do.
So just like we say, oh, you can't just post a sale and expect to get orders. Same thing with a hostess. You can't just say you get this free for 8 guests or 8 orders. If you haven't really even asked her if she wants that gift. Like, you know, you're going, oh, but you get this free with 8 orders or 8 buying guests, or however you want to word it, or when 8 attend. But yet she might be looking at that thing and thinking, I mean, that's nice, but I'd probably never use that. You see what I mean? So it's about that communication, creating that desire.
Yeah. Yep. You're partnering with her. You're communicating with her. You're gonna ask questions so you know what she's interested in. And a lot of the times, you know, when you first meet people, for example, if it's the booking that's inside the show, I kind of jot notes down. I always have a little paper beside me, and when I book her, I know what she likes. You know what I mean? So then when I go back to that later on, you know, I have that little note like be smooth or something. And then I go ahead and I throw that, or say, hey, you know what? I'm so excited. I see how lovely you are. I know I can get you that be smooth for this price or for free or whatever. So guest attendance is everything, right? We know that. And it's typical too when it's virtual, and especially right now, people are on different schedules. The follow-up and everything is still always going to be the same. But again, the guest attendance there live is a really, really good, you know, seed for you to have, because that's where you're going to get more sales, more bookings, and then more recruits too, because you know those people were there and they've seen the show, right? But again, I'm just consistent with my follow-up as well, as much as I can be if you're doing the Facebook Live.
Well, I know that, you know, just like everything else with social media, and, you know, there's a million ideas out there. So one of the questions that I see popping up here from Kathy Dodds is involving samples. So there's people out there that have said, oh, I mail all the guests all these samples before the party, which you and I both know, A, is expensive, and B,
Very.
it's going to take time. Okay. So I got to book it far enough for everybody to get those, where otherwise I could book you for tomorrow night. I mean, really, what difference, you know, I could book you really quick. So what would you advise to somebody who is wondering, do you mail out samples to the guest?
Okay. So personally, I don't mail out samples unless it's just, honestly, it's time consuming. Do I know that it's going to make some, you know what I mean? So what I do is at shows, I will put kind of incentives and add a free gift to that. Or what I've been doing recently is, if I know that somebody wants an enzyme peel, but they hadn't booked with me because maybe it's not the right time for them, I would, you know, put an enzyme peel sample in their bag, thank them with their order. And then I know eventually I can follow up with her a little bit up the road and say, hey, how'd you like that sample? And then, you know, see it like that, and kind of open a door for maybe a booking later if she's a leader.
But you're not trying to send them products to you.
No. Listen, let me handle that one. Nobody in our franchise sends out things ahead of time. When we see those posts about I bought all these little sample bottles and I did this and I did that, my guys ignore it, because first of all, it is time consuming and they're booking within, you know, 3 to 5 days. The mail in Canada, it would never get there in time, and it would be outrageously expensive. It's just not necessary. It really isn't. What we found going virtual is that even the people that were convinced that people had to try products on the back of their hands realized they didn't. I mean, after all, look at all the amount of cosmetics that's sold through ads, through commercials, and on QVC and HSN and everything else. And so we really realized that, you know, people are selling these products on TV and nobody's getting to try them. So it's really creating that desire. But I do want to mention, Sandy, that was something that might help as well, is that one of the things that the girls realized, especially as more and more companies were doing virtual, was that they had to be crystal clear with the guests and the hostess that this wasn't like other companies. So most of them might go live in the group right away, or they may have a post saying, this is a very special, unique show. We are not like the other companies. We're going to give you a chance to socialize with your friends. We're all going to be here at 7 o'clock. You're going to learn. You're going to be inspired. Boom. Because so many other companies, all they're doing, what they consider virtual shows, is posting something every day for 7 days and collecting orders. And our guys do not do that. They're actually doing shows. And so even when you said about, you know, new girls that have never done a live show, all of our recruits, obviously, since April have, you know, never done live shows, but they had to learn the show. I mean, we still told them you had to memorize the show. And I was sharing with Melissa that I remember Rion, I remember you telling me that you sometimes would do 3 shows on Saturday, morning, afternoon, and night, and be done for the week. And I said to Melissa, she had to drive everywhere. You know, you're able to do this at 7 and 8 and 9 and done, you know, in the evening in your pajamas practically. So, but when they talk about, we give a sample. So here's one of the things: we have hand and body silk samples and enzyme peel samples, right? So we have in the back office, I think it's for $1, Melissa, if I'm wrong, or
$7.50. Yeah.
Okay. So for a sample, so they can say the first 3 people to contact me to place their orders are going to get a gift. And they will actually order that to be put in their order. So again, they don't do any packaging, any shipping, anything. If they say, if you invite a friend that the hostess hasn't invited and she comes on the show, you're going to get a gift. It's the same thing. So they do not package or ship or drop off or any of that stuff.
And we have that set up in our systems too. So
right.
that
yeah,
we're all on the same page.
It's simple. And the transition was from live to Zoom breakout rooms, to Zoom streaming at the same time into the Facebook event for the people that wouldn't come on Zoom. So that increased their attendance, because some people came on Zoom and some people watched it on Facebook because they didn't want to come on Zoom. And then some girls only did Facebook groups because they were so busy. They wanted to have like Sunday or Friday night where they could literally schedule the posts for the 7 days leading up to the show and not have to touch it again. They even actually scheduled the after show post. It's already all done. And they only did groups. And now we're having a comeback, and it's probably because of our massive shutdown, to Zoom. So it's wintertime in Canada and it's a lockdown. And so there's been an increase in Zoom and Zoom attendance, but it's wonderful that people have Zoom or Facebook Live or Facebook groups. It doesn't matter what you pick. Like, don't get frozen thinking, oh, I don't know which one to do. You know, we just did it. And then if somebody had a tip, you adopted it or you didn't. I mean, I've got some people that do nothing but Zoom. Tara, who has done amazing, does nothing but groups on Facebook, won't even do Zoom, gave away a Zoom show last week because she didn't want to do it. So, it's not anything, but they know the show. And, you guys have a show. So that's the good news, that they have a show. And yes, Lynn, they have it. Every new consultant gets what to enter when. And it's the same thing almost every time, unless there's an update like our sale. Like, how you guys will do a sale, right? Mm-hmm. So the post about the sale will change once a month. But
so
the welcome, the introduction.
So what she said is, what are the steps from beginning to end with show planning? You're saying that you're calling them posts, but you're saying everything you do with the hostess, everything you do with the show. Do you have that on some type of a document or?
Yep. Okay. Yep. And it all evolved. And I will tell you that, And I will tell you that old school, some people like Patricia will call up her hostess and show plan a little bit and then do everything on post. But generally speaking, the girls get a copy, right, Melissa, of everything?
Yes. So I see a couple questions. So here's Ashland's. Do you typically have people that leave the party during the consultations? Of course.
Yeah.
Do I thank them and follow up with them after? Yeah. Yeah. Like, and just like in people's houses, right? Like there's people that would just like run out the door. So, as long as you're planting those seeds and you are willing to do a little bit of the follow up, or what I normally do, to be honest, I don't like to work that hard. I just ask my hostess, oh, what about Amy? I hope that she enjoyed the show tonight. Do you know if she wants to place an order? And then again, I'll always make sure that I announce it in the show that it's going to be closed on this date at this time. And then typically, say, for example, I do a 7 o'clock show, I'll have that post scheduled already 45 minutes later, right when I end or whatever, that post is going to do the sales. And again, exactly what I said, the first 3 people that place an order are getting a gift. The show is going to close here. I never post a party link personally. I don't want people going to my party link. I want them to go to me. And I tell them that. Okay. I have a party link, great, but I can give you the best deals. And I want to sell them on coming to me.
Right.
Yeah.
So Tanya's asking you, do you really do shows in an hour?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So I've gotten my show personally down to 45 minutes where I am getting the results. So I keep the way I'm doing it. And that's how I book my, like, say, for example, if I'm doing 3 shows in a night, typically I'll start my first show around 6:30. But I know that they're 45 minutes apart. I give myself time to clean up my bag, go to the bathroom, come back and be fresh for the next show. But yeah.
So I just want to address that, Tanya, that's the reason she said she schedules her live Facebook ones, the first 2, because those, she's not going to do individual consultations. She's going to use text, messenger, follow up on those.
Right.
The third one, which would be the Zoom party, is the one that you would do a breakout room.
Right.
But that one is going to go a little longer because you're doing breakout rooms, not the party, the breakout rooms.
Right.
You got to be careful because the Zoom only allows you to run the one meeting at a time, I think. So I'm always in the habit of always using my Zoom to directly live stream, because I know when I turn off my live stream, it posts to the group. So even 2 seconds after, when people refresh their feed, they're going to see the replay and I'll have to worry about going and putting that replay there. So that was really cool that we pivoted to that.
Yes, Ashland, if you follow the show, it's going to be about 45 minutes. You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
All right. What do you say in the text?
The follow-up text?
What text, Lynn? We're not sure which one you're asking.
For the consultations, we have a form for that too.
Yeah. It's the same always. Yeah.
It's similar, like you said, Sandy, it's very similar to what you'd say live. Thanks for coming on tonight. What were you most interested in, skincare or makeup, or, and so they take it from there. And then it either goes, some of them, and Melissa, you started this in the beginning where you would say to them, I'm taking consultations. The first one's at, 7:50 p.m. and then you can book one for 8:05. And she would schedule people like Belinda talked about with that checkout. But then we realized that, if they did it virtually, following up on people through text and messenger, they could fit in more shows. In her case, she could fit in more shows. So yes, we do have exact things to say to people for orders, exactly what to say to them to book, exactly what to say to them about the opportunity. That's all sent through messenger, text, and if they want, they can get on the phone.
Yeah, I'll just give you a quick dialogue of it, but I'll be like, if they joined in the live, or if they haven't joined in the live, I'll thank them. Hey, Mary, thank you so much for joining us today. I just want to let you know that I posted a replay that you can go back and follow. So let me know if you have any questions, but have you heard of Alouette before? So I'm asking her an open-ended question, and then she's going to come back and say, actually, I have, or I haven't, and then you go from there. The other ones that were there, you thank them, and you ask them just like you would at their home, what interested you most tonight? Were you more interested in skincare, or did you like the makeup I talked about? Because they were at the show, right? So they're either going to order or they're not, or I'm going to book her. Do you know what I mean? So I know that, that format's going to be the same.
Melissa, how do you know, excuse me, Melissa, how do you know if they were on there? Do you get them to comment, or like, how do you know they were on there?
So when I'm on the camera, always, whether it's through Facebook Live or the Zoom, I have an attending draw that we do, right? So they know before, when we have, again, that step-by-step sequence, is that when they come tonight, and I personally, I get them to RSVP to the hostess before the show. I want to know who's viewing. I'll give them an extra ticket into my draw, right? So it's kind of the same with that. But when I go live, I say, "Hi, everybody. I just want to let me know you're here so that I can get you my draw. And if you're just viewing, that's not going to get you in the draw. I want you to actively participate. And the more you participate, when I go back to read your comments, and I will go back, I can't wait to hear what you thought, then that'll get you in the draw." So I can see that they're actively commenting, what time they commented on it. And then again, I would follow up or go answer their questions.
Mm-hmm. And what type of thing would you recommend? Once again, we're being very basic tonight. What type of item would you recommend would be a draw?
Okay, Sandy, we do a special price on a couple of items for only this reason. They can't purchase it for any other reason. And right now it's Visible Aid, Melissa, and Hannah Body.
Yes.
Yes, we had orange lotion as an option, but that's gone now. So we're looking at putting in a third option, but the consultant can't buy them and stockpile them. It has to go with the show. And we know this was a show, so this was a draw gift.
The reason I'm asking, Deb, is I see a tendency with consultants to overgive.
Oh yeah.
We're going to draw for this basket valued at $350. And so then a lot of times it's, I'm spending money, so being a smart businesswoman, you're recommending that it's one item.
Yes. And the charge is typically $6. So it's one draw, one show.
And the consultant paid $6.
Exactly. That's right. So yeah, no, Sandy, you know me. We are definitely not about spend all that money.
I totally agree. And I'm like you too. But I still hear people say it. Okay. So Karen, did that answer your question about is all follow-up after you do the show? Yes. Yep.
Absolutely.
But I like what you're saying, Melissa, though. Yes, it's live. Yes, it's not Zoom. Yes, it's in a group. But you are interacting just like we're interacting right now on this chat. Right. You guys are muted.
Right.
But we're interacting on this chat. So honestly, y'all, it's really not any different than what we're doing right now.
That's right.
It just might be on a Facebook Live as opposed to a Zoom where you're muted. And I hope you guys are feeling that and feeling like, oh, wow, maybe I could do this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh my goodness. You totally could. And I really do challenge yourself to do it. Always know the only thing that holds you back from anything is always going to be yourself. You're your worst demon. You know what I mean? And, you're always going to have the thoughts in the back of your mind of what if I fail? What if it, you know what? Just do it. Because when you do it, then you're going to know and, you're going to pivot together as well. But we know we have the system. We've tried it out. I know it works personally because I'm booked. I'm booking into March now. And I think I have another 13, 14 shows almost this month coming up. So you can do it. I believe in you. And I'm challenging you tonight to step in the puddle and focus on your why. And I want to hear back from Sandy that you are going to, because I know you can. I have the same fear and I know you can do it.
Okay. So what do you do or say if no one is commenting in your chat?
Well, then I guess nobody's getting this. If I hold this baby to the camera and I'm talking about it before the show in my post, I already know what I'm giving away. I'm not just like, damn, what am I giving away tonight? I know that they're going to want the visible aid because I've created the desire in my post, right? And I tell them in the beginning of the show, I want this to be in your home. So I can't wait to see who wins it free tonight.
I love that.
So all of a sudden they're like, yeah. And you know what? Just put your own self into it too, because once you learn the show, exactly what Deb says, your personality comes out. The way Tanya's going to do the show and Karen will be a different light, a different personality on camera, but the show is still the same. It should be the same, right? You know, you're creating desire, you're overcoming objections, you're doing those things in your show so that later on, it's just going to come from doing. We know this.
Oh, I think Ashlyn had a light bulb moment there. That's great, Ashlyn. She's like, that's my missing link.
Sell yourself, girl, and put the product to the camera.
Okay, so the $6 million question. You're on here tonight. I'm nervous, but I'm going to get my boot in the mud puddle or whatever you just said. I'm going to stick my foot in. Where should they start with as far as getting something booked, getting bookings? Where do they go? What do they do first?
So make your list of all the women you know. Everyone that showers and bathes that you know that is a woman. You go to that list and you either use the platform of getting on Messenger, or if you have contacts, do that. That's always best, right? But just, you know, what's in it for her? Put the focus on her, what the benefits are going to be for her, and just use a dialogue that, you know, is going to be dire, but again, focusing on what is in it for her and selling them on, this is what's happening right now, this is what people need, and this is what I'm going to do for you. What do you think? I can take you next Thursday. Are you free? So it's just acting as if, even if you're not booked and you don't have anything on your calendar, you look down, you take the marker and you circle the days that you want to work, and those are the days that you're offering, and those are the days that you're going to go for. And then, you know, see what the objections are and handle them from there.
Sandy, maybe I can give a little insight there as well. Melissa had a couple of shows up and she transitioned those hosts, but everybody that needed to get shows up, that basically their calendar fell apart, did one of two things. They either had their own show where they said, oh my gosh, guys, you know, I am so excited. You know, we are locked down. We're all losing our minds. We all need to see each other. We all need to connect. And we're doing this new thing called virtual. And I really want you to come on because, you know, this is going to be my first time and I might screw it up, but it's going to be so much fun. And I'm going to be giving away this and this, and we're going to be doing that. How about Thursday? Or as Melissa said, they made a list of people and said, Sandy, you've been such a great hostess in the past, and we are doing something totally new right now because of COVID. We have gone virtual. We have never done this in the history of our business. And we are so flippin' excited because what we're finding is that women need other women. Women were created for relationship, and we need other women, and we need some positive distraction, and we need some self-care. And we're getting together on Zoom and we're talking, you know, I'm sharing the products, I'm doing a presentation, and then they each get a private consultation at the end. They can visit, they can have their own drink. They don't have to dress up. You don't have to do refreshments. You don't have to, you know, clean your house. You don't have to do anything. They're so easy. So listen, I really want you to be the first one. And I'm doing a $150 shopping spree for a qualifying show, absolutely free. The consultant paid the amount. So I've got 6 of these to give away. And I really want you to be one of my first virtual hostesses. What about? Mm-hmm. So their focus was on why now, like Melissa said, why now, why women need it. There was the incentive of the free shopping spree. And there was definitely the fact that this was going to be something that was new and different and fun.
Yeah, and the mystery hostess thing.
Right.
This is something, yeah. Hosting your own show and then incentivizing from there. If no one's having a show for you, have your own darn show.
Right.
Have a show.
And, but be your own best hostess. Invite people properly, do all the right things. And that got a lot of people going too, right?
Mm-hmm. Do it through your VIP page and create the event from there, and show plan just like you would for a regular show through your VIP. That would definitely get people going because we know that those people are on the product. So, you know, what's going to light their fire to get onto your calendar, and what benefits are you going to focus on to book her?
And, you know, a couple of girls did do the begging thing. They did say, listen, we have this whole new thing that we're doing now. And I'm so nervous, but I'm so excited because it's so easy for the hostess. She doesn't have to travel. She doesn't have to make refreshments. She doesn't have to clean her house. And I really want to do this. And I thought of you. And if you will help me out, I'm going to give you. So there was a little twist on it for a couple, because some hostesses don't care what they get, but they care if they're helping you out. You know, you have to sort of think about what is her hot button of what motivates her. But I would say it was a combination of those things that got people going. And here's another really cool thing about the groups in Facebook. When Melissa recruits somebody and does her launch, all of those people that came on that show or said they were going to join, when Melissa's finished the show, she's made that new consultant, what is it, a co-host, Melissa, or a co-admin?
Yeah. So normally when you create the group in the beginning anyways, whether she's a lead or not, you put her as the co-admin.
Right.
Exactly.
So what they do when the show's finished is they just go in and change the title from, you know, Ashland's Facebook party to Ashland's Alouette VIP group. And now Ashland doesn't have to make a VIP group. It's already started for her with 10 or 12 or 15 people in it.
Yeah, that's genius.
It's great.
I think too that the bottom line is that all of us have that friend or that family member that we reach out and say, you know, Alouette's doing something new. We've gone virtual, and I want a hostess to help me get, you know, try it. Will you be the one to help me try this? Will you be the one to help me get it going? And I'll give you $150 or $100 shopping spree. And, you know, all of us, y'all, everybody knows somebody that would say yes. Now, for whatever reason, your block is that you haven't asked her, that's something you're going to have to, like Melissa started out from the very beginning tonight saying, it's about your mindset.
Right.
So there may be something you need to overcome there, but we all know someone who would do that.
I think the other thing we ran into, Sandy, was people were afraid to look like a fool. You know, they thought they weren't used to going live. And so we really did condition people that you need to pretend you're doing a show. And so some of our consultants literally raised it up and stood up. And then they got so comfortable, they sit down like we're doing now. But they literally did the show standing up because it was like, pretend you're doing a show. And then it's face the worst thing you think might happen. Like, what is the worst possible thing you think might happen? You lose your internet connection. Right. Nobody shows up. Well, that's happened. Everything's happened to Melissa.
Anything that you can think of that would go wrong has happened to me. Okay. So when I first started, and actually we have it on our page, I literally put a table. I was using a cell phone at the time because I didn't have my laptop.
There you go.
Doing my show, and I was hoping they could see me. So I did that. And then, you know, the one time I just had a blank wall and I was holding up the products to the camera, and then we did the shelf thing. But, you know, sometimes I'm doing a Zoom and I'm live streaming into the Facebook event and my computer will freeze. You know what I tell them in the beginning of the show now? Listen, we are on virtual, and I can tell you that sometimes we experience technical difficulties. That's okay. And that's why we have smartphones. So you just refresh your page and in a minute it'll come back, but let's just cross our fingers and let's just have a good time. You know, like just go with it, because, you know, things can happen. But the thing is that's important for you just to keep on going, because the show always must go on. We know this.
Right.
Yeah.
And sometimes people would say, but I'm afraid nobody's going to come on. I think every consultant we have has been ghosted at least once. And I'll tell you, one of the things that they've done is some of them have made a generic show, or they've taped a show, didn't use the hostess's name. And when they've been ghosted, they post the show in the group anyway and get orders from people. And nobody was even on the show. Right, Melissa? Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Like I've been ghosted by somebody and then it just went live in her group anyways. Like I did get bookings from that as well. So, you know, and then, you know, she'll like when you contact her and she got hostess benefits, but really go into it with a 95% mindset of, you know, no matter what, I'm going to count this as a win because I did it, you know?
Yes.
then when you build that confidence from doing your first show, which is just like when we all go back to our very first show, and if you haven't had a first show, you're going to know what I'm talking about. But everybody starts the same, and we all have the same fears. The only difference is, are you going to walk through that? You know, because you'll never know the beauty of it, what's at the end, if you don't do it. And you'll never know if you did it, if you could do it, you know? So walk through the fear. Start with the very simple steps of who can I reach out to tomorrow or tonight? And now you're feeling motivated, and that motivation is going to fade. So act now, right? And, you know, go to your list and just contact those people, be you, but focus on her and what's in it for her. And I know that you're gonna do well.
What is there any advice? Because a couple of I'm looking at who's here. A couple of people who have done a virtual, tried it. You know, listen. It's just like everything else. You got to do it enough to get good. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, none of us are good in the beginning.
Right.
No.
But is there anything specific other than the script, the booking talk, that you believe has been instrumental in making sure that you got bookings from these virtual parties?
Well, aside even just from everything I do, I could follow the system as much as I wanted. But if my mindset is not there, I will not get the results. You know what I mean? So, you know, I've had, like, I think it was around November where I was really getting low on bookings. And again, I had some stuff come on with, like, I just had to do the checkup from the neck up. What was I doing? Right. But I noticed even for myself, if there's any sort of shift in my mindset, it shows in my results. And I know that, right? So you could follow a step-by-step system, but if that mindset isn't focused on, you know, then it's going to change your results. So it definitely, I know it sounds crazy and woohoo, but it has a lot to do with the thoughts that you're having and that you're telling yourself, you know?
And some of those mindsets could be, I don't think I can do it. I don't have enough time to do it. Right. I'm not good at technology. I'm not, you know, I don't even know how to set up a group. Okay, whatever.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Whatever that mindset is, it could be a variety of things that you're not calling mindset, but that really is what it is. You know what? We're not calling it mindset, but that's what it is.
Yep.
Yeah, the thoughts that you're telling yourself, and do that in your show too. Make yourself duplicatable. I think that's what makes a good recruiter, is that, you know, even now, like I'll say, hey, you know, I didn't learn Zoom until I turned on my computer and did my first show. I want to let you know that anybody can do this. And, you know, I just, you know, making yourself duplicatable too to others, I think is really important, because if they see that you're perfect, I don't want to do this. Look at her. I can't do that. So, you know, you're just be very careful on what you're saying to yourself. That's what I'm going to say too. You know, don't put yourself down, because in your mind, you are, right? Especially as a woman. I don't know. Am I enough? You know, am I good enough? Are they going to book? Maybe they won't book, you know?
Am I too old? Am I too young? Do I look the part? Whatever.
As a woman, you probably, you know, crap talk yourself already. But the truth is, those are all lies, and you are capable of doing and having anything you want. Just stop holding yourself back.
Deb, Lynn's asking, do you do the envelope game? I know that I'm just going to talk for Lynn, that she's struggled a little bit with that envelope game being virtual.
Yes. I can tell you that the majority of our beauty consultants and managers that are really booked do some form of the envelope game. So what I would suggest for Lynn is connect with Sheila, or we send you the video. But I know the other day, Patricia Felice just said what she has done to save time with the whole virtual thing is she does an amazing Let's Pretend and booking talk, which is the first part of it. And then she just turns and shows them, here are the bags of the gifts for booking. So tell me which number you want. And she's been booking like crazy without saying open the envelope and decide. So that's something we can help you with as well, just to give you a couple of options there. So the girls who are doing something like that have much better bookings than the ones who don't. And certainly there are people who can book without it, because They're expert bookers. I mean, let's face it, we didn't have the envelope game for the first 35 years, but they're making it fun. You know, Andrea Clausen, I mean, she gets people typing in the date that they want their show because she does so many booking seeds and she does so much about what they're going to get. And this is the date and these are the dates I have open. And, you know, all those things that you might normally do at a live show, they're doing them, but they're saying type it in and the first person to type it in gets it. And, you know, that kind of thing.
Right.
Another cool line is, which I got from Andrea, is this deal ends when I stop talking.
Ah, yeah. Yes.
You'll get them typing in. They want that $10 primer.
Right. This deal ends when I stop talking. Right.
And I smile. But no,
Yeah.
I'm really excited to hear back from Sandy the results that you guys are going to be getting.
Does anybody have
I
any
know.
more questions as we begin to wind down here and let Melissa get to her children? Does anybody have any more questions or anything that you'd like to ask? I'm looking at my list here. Pretty much you've hit everything that I had wrote down. So you've done a fantastic job. Thank y'all for taking the time. Deb, is there anything you just feel like you want to add or?
I just, like Melissa's saying, just start. You know, every journey begins with one step, right? If you're totally intimidated to go live, then do a couple of lives that are just going in your VIP group and talking, just so that it's not the first time if you want to do that. But I will say this, Sandy, other than a mystery hostess night or maybe once in a while doing a makeover, right? A makeup class, they do the show. Like these guys are doing shows. They're not saying tonight I'm doing this and tomorrow night I'm doing that. And next week I've got another idea. They're not. It's very, very methodical. It's like you guys all learned how to do it. We've got an opening. We've got a welcome. We've got a, you know, this part, done. The show's finished, so that it's so duplicatable, and they don't change it up unless they're doing a mystery hostess like once a month in their VIP group or something. And I think that's part of it too, because you know, we've always used to say, once you've learned the show, you've learned the show. You don't have to keep relearning it. And I think sometimes when people see so many ideas on social media, it can be intimidating to think, well, you know, I'm always having to learn something new, or I always have to change this up. And you don't, because if you're getting bookings, it's that next group of people every time, right? So that's what they're doing. They're doing the show. And I know how good Lynn is at a show. I know how good Rion is at a show. I know how good Ashlyn is at a show. The temptation is always to play with it, but it really is that success of the show. And honestly, you know, we had a whole pile of people that said, I am not doing this. And they were hoping COVID was going to last 6 weeks. I am not. And every single week in our training, we had somebody else come on and do a testimony. You know, Melissa came on and shared, then the next person came on and shared, then somebody else. We've had people that I will promise you were probably not even going to be still in the business, that were managers that have reinvented their business. I mean, Amber Briggs moved to a town, knew nobody, and didn't want to go back to her other town to do shows because it was too much of a drive. And she thought she was going to have to go out of business. And instead, she reinvented herself with virtual. And she's got a bigger business than she's ever done. Denise Tetro, you know, went live and some crazy thing happened. Ellis went live in Facebook, didn't realize it was on her personal profile, and was talking to her family in Italy. And they were messaging in Italian saying, what are you doing? What's going on? And she was like, oh my God, I can't believe what I did here. So if you have a sense of humor, like Melissa says, and you joke about it a little bit, don't panic. It's not a big deal. It's not the end of the world. You just, it does make you relatable. It does make you somebody who can recruit other people, you know, but if you really, and I know Sandy has a show, so, you know, the number of people I've talked to, the first question, and my guys know this, Melissa and everybody knows this. The first thing, if somebody asks for help, if anybody contacts you from anywhere in North America and asks for help, the first thing to say to her is, do you have a show, and is it memorized, and is it a good show? Because everything comes from that.
Well, yes, and Bonnie has a show too for the girls that are in Charlotte.
Right.
And we have them on our sites.
Yes.
Videoed,
right.
A live party for you to watch, to go, oh, this is what they're talking about. I'm just going to do this on the computer.
And you know how we used to say to girls, you know, if you really want to get better, go with Lynn to her show, go view her, go with her. Well, guess what? Now we just say, hop on the show.
Yeah.
They're sitting at home. Hop on and watch it. You don't have, in 45 minutes, you'll figure out what you're doing wrong. I've said to people, watch Melissa's show or watch Andrea's show and tell me what you're doing wrong. Tell me what you're missing. And they're sitting at home. It's fantastic.
Yes, it's incredible.
It really is incredible.
Well, thank you so much, ladies. I'm going to stop recording now for everybody that watched us. So let me just, that's what I usually